The decline of 7-Up. Is 7-Up not a thing no more? What happened to 7-Up, fam? Let's check it out. This one's by the company, man. Wait for the start. If a YouTube video plays for like half a second, it won't show that a second has passed in the YouTube thing. So usually when I upload the page, it plays for like a half second before I can pause it. But hey, I played it from the beginning here, so.
7-Up. I think of them as kind of like the soda that has been left behind. Now, I realize we all still recognize the brand, and given the fact that they're still sold practically all over the place, I think it would be...
So they're still sold. What? Did Mountain Dew like take them out of the business with all their extravagant flavors? There's not many flavors of Mountain Dew growing up. Now there's like 500 plus. So many, fam. So many.
unfair to call it a total failure, but at the same time, I don't think there is any other soda brand that has experienced such a drastic decline. Given their current state, you may be surprised to learn that there was maybe a 30-year span starting in the 1940s where 7-Up was widely considered to be the third best-selling soda in the United States. Almost anybody at that time could have
The whole United States.
told you that. Coke and Pepsi were at the top, of course, while 7-Up was out there doing their own thing as the biggest non-cola product, or as they called it, uncola. That was
Really? Uncle. Oh, it's a play on the word uncle, right?
actually a really significant word that I will be talking more about, but the last 50 years or so
You said significant word. Okay, we'll take your word for it.
have not been great for 7-Up. In the 1970s, they started losing popularity, and by the end
Yeah, yeah, it's a good brand. It really is. I mean, it's just it has its own distinct flavor. Let's be real here. The lemon lime, the faint lemon lime, it's like more carbonated than anything, but it tastes good. I actually like the smell of it. I said smell. I like the taste of 7-Up.
end of
I drank this so much growing up. The way I drink it, like it would hurt like my throat and stuff.
the 1990s, they had slowly fallen in the ranks to become the 9th best-selling soda, which is more or less where they remain today. There's been so much happening with 7-Up over the years that I'm excited to talk about. See, the brand goes all the way back to the 1920s. It was created by Charles Grigg, who already had extensive experience.
But yeah, my taste buds, like, why do they not serve it? What? It's just Sprite now instead of. Did Sprite take them out of business? Because they're just quite nearly identical tasting.
In both advertising and soda creation. A decade earlier, while working at a manufacturing company, he had invented an orange-flavored soda called Whistle. However, disputes with management caused him to quit his job and leave that creation
Whistle.
with the company. A similar thing happened again where he created another orange-flavored soda, this time called Howdy. He left the company he was working for while he created
Howdy.
but here he was able to take his invention with him and start his own business that would sell it. The issue there was that Orange Crush was already well established on the market and difficult to compete against.
Yeah, orange is a good soda. I wonder what brings a flavor. Is it the like change of? Is it the food coloring that changes it, or is it the carbonation? Maybe that's a silly question. Forget I asked that.
So as Howdy struggled to find customers, Charles Grigg spent a couple years creating a much more unique lemon-lime flavored soda, and once it was finally introduced in 1929, it had no major direct competitors. No one else out there was mass-producing a lemon-lime flavored soda like
Like they put like a few drops of lemon, a few drops of lime. I don't know. I don't know. I'm not a food scientist,
that. So
but it kind of tastes like that, right? Not really though.
7-Up stood out to the customers. Actually, it wasn't called 7-Up at first. It had a much more ridiculous name. It was called Bib Label Lithianated.
Yeah, they can take that. They can take this name that they're trying to, and keep it the simple one, right?
Lemon Lime Soda. He chose that name because, like many others at the time, he wanted it to be perceived as a health drink. It actually
That's too like niche. You can maybe sell it at like a science store, right? Lithiated,
did
The only synonym that rings a bell to lithiated is lithium.
contain the drug lithium, so in the early years, it was commonly bought by people looking
Oh yeah, I remember lithium. They gave me one of those back then when I was in jail.
to stabilize their mood or seeking other potential health benefits. But thankfully, within a few years, the name was changed to 7-Up, though the exact origins behind that name have
7 dash up as well.
never been confirmed by Charles Grigg or the company
So no numbers, just letters this time.
itself. Different theories suggest that it was meant to reflect the 7 ingredients or the 7 ounce
No, I wonder how different it tasted. The formula back then. I recently watched a TikTok where they said the packaging taste changes how certain things taste, and I actually 100% agree. So it probably tastes different in that, or at least it feels like it tastes different in that packaging, right? Or that bottle rather. It looks like a beer though, or like a Topo Chico or seltzer water kind
size
of.
of the bottle. I guess he may have seen cattle branded with a similar mark and like the looks of it, I don't know. My guess is that he just felt that the name 7-Up was both catchy and memorable, and maybe he even wanted a bit of mystery
And super simplistic for sure.
surrounding it. Either way, the unique flavor, the catchy name, and the perceived health benefits all helped 7-Up become one of the country's biggest soda brands.
Health benefits. Oh yeah, when I got sick, they would buy me 7 Up.
In the 1950s, they actually worked with Disney on a marketing campaign that featured a rooster named Fresh Up Freddy. He was an entertaining
Bro, getting sick as a kid was terrible, bro. That's not something anybody wanted. I'm sure a lot would like to live their childhood, but the amount of times we got sick back then is just terrible, right?
mascot that was featured during a popular Disney TV series
Zorro. This violent show, this one scared me growing up, bro. The way he did that Z on that guy's stomach.
called Zorro. It made the drink much more popular with children, and I believe that helped lead to the classroom game called Heads Up 7-Up. I don't know if you're familiar, but the teachers used to have us play that in elementary school in the 1990s.
Oh yeah. I'm 100% sure they don't do that nowadays. But yeah, just like a subtle product reference.
So that goes much further back than I would have thought. Now, the late 1960s is when 7-Up reached their absolute peak, and that is mostly due to one of the most effective advertising campaigns of all time. 7-Up started calling themselves the Uncola as a way to separate themselves from Coke and Pepsi, who were obviously both
Great marketing move.
colas.
Hey, we didn't have companies didn't have much to work with. They didn't have the social medias and stuff back then, so
Already seemingly a smart idea, but to fully understand
but they still can produce high quality commercials like this somehow. How they even do that?
the genius of it, you have to consider
That must have been custom made, right?
the culture and the overall mentality of the younger generation at the time. This was during the Vietnam War and the Civil Rights Movement, when hippies were all over the place challenging authority and severely questioning the government and the established way of thinking. I don't want to make this a US history lesson about the 1960s, but you
Yeah, that's not his channel. I'm sure there's a channel that could do that though. That's out there. No, this is about weird history food or weird food history.
get the idea that it was becoming part of youth culture to challenge the standard. So, in 1968, when 7-Up positioned Coke and Pepsi to be the popular standard and themselves to be the outside alternative, that really resonated with the younger people. Maybe the most famous commercial of the campaign featured actor Jeffrey Holder, the first black actor to be featured in one of their commercials, by the way, cleverly comparing cola nuts to uncola nuts. The uncola nuts were just a lime and a
So yeah, not the best camera quality here.
lemon. As I said, that was their high.
You got the green and the yellow, like a burger, right? The lettuce, the cheese.
Right, it launched their popularity higher than it ever was before, but sadly, they could not maintain it. Just a few years later, by the early 1970s, 7-Up started to decline and things just continued getting worse. Remember, for so
Worse.
many years, 7-Up was the only notable lemon lime soda on the market, and all of that changed in a major way in 1961 when Coca-Cola introduced
Gosh, bro. Coca-Cola, the biggest soft drink out there. Straight up's like, yo, 7 Up, we're gonna take you out of business.
Sprite.
A 10 fluid ounce drink, yo. There has to be a way we can recreate this flavor, right? Like, I want to try one of these from back then.
5 years, it was available to practically everybody in the US, and by the 1970s, it was stealing away market share and becoming the new favorite to many customers throughout the country, and just overall becoming a major concern for 7-Up. In 1978, 7-Up was bought by the tobacco company Philip Morris. I want to make it clear that 7-Up was
Ah, yes, I knew that ring a bell. I knew the symbol rang a bell. I didn't know if it was soccer or not. Doesn't it look like a soccer team or like a soccer college? Nope, it's a cigarette company.
already struggling, and despite a lack of experience in the soda industry, many believed that Philip Morris could potentially be the perfect ones to revive the brand. See, in the years leading up to this, their marketing approach was largely responsible for popularizing the cigarette brand Marlboro and the beer brand Miller.
Isn't Marlboro the biggest brand out there? It's someone's last name, right? Some of these products are just someone's last name.
Maybe not the best brands to be promoting, but it did prove what they could do, so people were optimistic about the acquisition. But honestly, when looking back, it seems like reviving 7-Up at that time would have been almost an impossible task. Consider that during the Uncola campaign that was so successful, the main goal of it was to get people away from cola
And all this for a drink that's still relevant today.
and toward lemon.
And it's still the number one most sold drink. But yeah, it's just different to see how this was like something that everybody drank to something that most don't drink.
Lime. But now, with Sprite on the market in such a big way, and with Pepsi soon introducing their own version called Slice that had its own gimmick containing 10% fruit juice, simply pushing people away from cola didn't necessarily mean that they were pushing people towards 7-Up. So, the new advertising campaign was not to focus on the lemon lime, but to focus on the fact that 7-Up did not have caffeine, while many of the other leading sodas did. In 1981, they even introduced a mostly caffeine-free cola called Like that.
I don't drink. There's a reason why I don't drink Coke. There's a reason why I don't drink these caffeinated beverages is because it has caffeine, and I actually avoid caffeine.
Was obviously never too successful.
Introducing Like. Like doesn't add caffeine like Coke and Pepsi. Like gets its excitement from full, rich cola taste.
Pepsi Free came out the following year, caffeine-free Coca-Cola came out the year after that, and many of the bottlers had loyalty to those brands, so they wouldn't even distribute Like, and 7-Up had a hard time getting it out there. In the end, 7-Up lost tens of millions of dollars for Philip Morris. A struggling brand when they bought it was struggling even worse 8 years later when they were admitting defeat and finally looking to sell it.
No, they're gonna sell the brand. They're throwing in the towel.
I mean, with all the resources.
Hey, it was a good run, but going against Coca-Cola, they got so much workforce with them.
The experience, the relationships, the customer loyalty of the Coke and Pepsi companies, how could Philip Morris have possibly competed with them? In fact, it sure seems like the only way 7-Up truly had a chance at becoming significant again is if either Coke or
Pepsi and 7-Up are so similar. Like, they got that, just like that giant red.
Pepsi were to take it over. And in 1986, that came so close to happening. There was already an agreement to sell 7-Up to Pepsi, where a Pepsi representative said 7-Up is a top quality product that has the potential to become one of the most popular soft drinks in.
It does, but they never release, like, they don't do anything with it. Like, they just have the 7-Up. They just sell it as 7-Up. They don't do what Mountain Dew does. They just do what they do. Mountain Dew makes 500 plus flavors. What's 7-Up do? Not much. What's 7? I never see advertisements for it or anything. Never see YouTubers make products around it. I don't know.
In the world. They even said Pepsi would put its full marketing muscle behind 7-Up to build its share of the market. Obviously, they had big plans for it. Meanwhile, Coca-Cola had agreed to buy Dr. Pepper, but ultimately, the FTC stepped in and said that neither deal was allowed to happen because it would create too much of a monopoly within the industry. Though I will point out that Pepsi did buy the international operations of 7-Up, just nothing in their core market of the United States. But what did end up happening in the US is a bit confusing. Essentially, an investment bank from Dallas named Hicks and Haas put together a deal where
We're seeing seeing where this money's been going, you know? Somebody's rich out 7-Up.
They bought Dr. Pepper in a leveraged buyout for about $400 million.
Well,
Then, only a few months
in RuneScape terms, it still seems like a lot.
later, they also bought 7-Up for $240 million. 2 years later, the two companies were combined into a new company called Dr. Pepper 7-Up in a deal that valued them at $1.3 billion. Kind of a strange situation, where instead of competing
It's quite a bit.
against each other as parts of Coke and Pepsi, they combined forces to try to compete
So, are these new bottles of 7-Up? The nice green bottle. We don't really see the green bottle that much. I don't know why. Why was it only a thing mostly back then?
against Coke and
Did all the green like get taken from the glass and get put into the money?
Pepsi. And this new combined company was fairly successful in that their sales were increasing each year, but it was a situation where Dr. Pepper was
Yeah, but also inflation, right?
growing like crazy, while 7-Up was continuing to struggle. By 1993,
I would pick Coca-Cola over Dr. Pepper any day.
when they became a public company as a way to raise money to pay off part of the $1 billion in debt that they had accumulated from the leveraged buyouts,
Also, just to like, this is unrelated, but thank you for guys. We got 500 followers in a day on Instagram, bro. I'm in awe, bro. I'm not making money right now because I don't make money off of Instagram, but I'm still in awe, bro, because wow, never. Like I'd work a month and a month for 100 followers, a month for 500 followers. It was what I was like steady projected to get, but now just like a day, like what? That's that's it. That's an amount of followers that so many would be happy to have, and I'm just in awe right now. Like, all right, sorry.
Dr. Pepper was the 4th best-selling soda brand, while 7-Up was the 8th best-selling. The issue there, I believe, was the fact that Coke and Pepsi were
They got like the branding that's like in 2 different languages. I'm sure that one tastes different than one that just comes in one language. Here's a collection idea. Let's just get 7-Up sodas in every single different flavor, right? I'm sorry, language.
heavily promoting their own versions of 7-Up, while Dr. Pepper remained mostly unrivaled. In 1995, Dr. Pepper 7-Up was acquired by Cadbury Schweppes for $1.7 billion. They were famously a candy company
Okay, I was like, dude, what? How? I know that last name. I assume it's last name. I know what it.
that had been slowly acquiring all of these soft drink brands, including Crush a few years earlier. So that's pretty interesting how 7-Up finally teamed up with the brand
Crush is good. Crush is good. The mainstay in the orange drink soda niche, bro, for sure, for sure. You also got Fanta. That's another mainstay. Um, Fanta might be flagship. Crush is probably mainstay. Crush might be flagship though. I'm not. I don't know that many orange soda brands out there. Actually,
and that
High C is a great drink though.
indirectly helped inspire their creation in the first place. Clearly, the attractive part of the acquisition was the Dr. Pepper brand, and this is where 7-Up really started to get lost in the shuffle. I mean, look at how the New York Times reported the deal. They didn't even think 7-Up was important enough to mention in the headline. 3 years later,
Well, it is a Cadbury's, like, you know,
7-Up had their
that's a little bit nitpicky in my opinion, but hey.
first ever formula change. Another bad sign. I think it was subtle though, just giving it a stronger lemon lime flavor, and they dropped their Uncola slogan as an attempt to attract younger customers. That Uncola campaign had been so effective in connecting with the youth of the 1960s that by the 1990s, those same people were the ones buying 7-Up, just 30 years older and giving the brand the reputation that it was for
It's 1929. Wow, long history.
older people. In 2008, Cadbury Schweppes spun off all of these beverages into their own company that was named Dr. Pepper Snapple Group, again being overshadowed by the other
Snapple's a good drink. I like Snapple. They're pretty good, right?
brands. And finally, 10 years later,
It might be $5 a drink, but it comes in nice. Like, I prefer 2 liters. Go just away. Like 2 liter, but I'd rather get them in the smaller, like, packaged.
That
I don't really get 2 liters that much. They just go like soft quickly, and it's annoying what dealing with 2 liters, bro.
company was bought by Keurig for over $18 billion, forming Keurig Dr.
Like, you get a 2 liter bottle, but you just want to pour yourself a cup. Like, no, 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 no. Cans are better.
Pepper, again being overshadowed
And then, like, you already opened the container, so it's like you gotta. Sorry, I'm getting angry just talking about it.
by the other brands. Today, 7-Up is just one of many beverages owned by that company. I wouldn't say they stand out in any major ways.
2 liters aren't that bad.
Certainly not like they used to. In fact, they have been declining for so long that I would bet that most of the people watching this probably had no idea that 7-Up used to be such a big deal. Let me know in the comments, did you know that 7-Up used to be such a big deal? I think it's a great story, but kind of
Yeah, I was born right as it started to decline, bro. I hope it wasn't bad luck for the company, because I drank them a lot.
a depressing one. Well, obviously,
But yeah, I don't even see this product that much in stores.
if you're a big
And actually drink 7-Up. It's a good product. I don't.
7-Up drinker, this hasn't been the easiest 10 or so minutes for you to watch, but also it demonstrates
It
how
wasn't.
larger companies can push smaller ones right out of the market. Do you ever drink 7-Up, or do you prefer one of the competing products? And I also want to ask, have you ever played the
Wait, look at the Sprite. Just look at the packaging compared. What looks like a more professional packaging? The one on the left or the one on the right? The Sprite or 7-Up? Sprite has a bunch of like win trips to England. Look at all these like seals of approval we have. The 7-Up's just like, yo. Look, they even got the same like factory to wrap their cans, bro. And I just wanted to point that out.
mascot at the
We gotta watch like a video on Kool-Aid, like all the Kool-Aid flavors or something.
time named Cool Spot? It's the dot from the label brought to life. They were always attempting to bring in a younger audience. Actually, I do think that they are now part of a company that likely has the ability to revive the brand to an extent, but is it even worth trying it at this point? It's been so long, and I don't know if the demand is really there. Just
No, it's there.
more things to think
Being number 9 in the soda game's not pretty in the whole world. Quite up there in the.
about. So any thoughts you have about 7-Up or anything else in this video, leave them in the comments. I'd like to hear what you have to say. Thank you for watching.
Well, that's a video, fam. Thank you for watching. Check out company man in the description. And now we're just experimenting with longer like reaction style videos, so this one's twice as long as the original video. Makes me feel for my elderly parents. We used to love to shop at Sears, Circuit City, and Kmart and drink 7-Up. And all these are gone, or almost all gone. My parents still refer to any lemon lime. So does 7-Up. Even Mountain Dew is Mountain Dew lemon lime. I don't even know, but I'll see you next one, fam.